In the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine, a recent series of events has exposed significant vulnerabilities in Russia's military strategy. Ukrainian forces, demonstrating remarkable resilience and tactical acumen, launched a surprise offensive in the Kursk region, capturing significant territory and leaving Russia scrambling to respond. In this video, we will explore the details of this operation and how Ukraine has achieved this significant military success against Russia after a series of defeats in recent conflicts. The Kursk offensive. In mid-August 2024, Ukrainian forces initiated a daring operation into Russia's Kursk region, a move that took the Russian military completely by surprise. The Ukrainian armed forces managed to seize control of over 1,250 square kilometers of Russian territory, including 92 settlements. This offensive was not just a territorial gain. It was a bold statement of Ukraine's growing military capability and its ability to strike deep into Russian territory. The operation began with Ukrainian forces bypassing Russian defenses and roadblocks, effectively outmaneuvering the Russian troops who were caught off guard. Ukrainian mobile infantry units advanced rapidly, capturing key positions and forcing Russian forces to hastily organize a defense. The AFU's ability to capture and hold these areas, despite Russian attempts to push them back, highlights the weaknesses in Russia's border security and the strategic depth of Ukraine's military planning. This offensive is part of a broader Ukrainian strategy to create a buffer zone within Russian territory, aimed at weakening Russia's military capacity by forcing them to defend on multiple fronts. By establishing control over key areas in Kursk, Ukraine has not only created a strategic advantage, but has also forced Russia to redeploy troops from other critical regions, stretching their resources thin. Ukraine's defensive strategy. To fully understand the significance of the Kursk offensive, it's essential to consider the historical context of Ukraine's defensive and offensive strategies throughout this conflict. Since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, Ukraine has been on the defensive, repelling Russian advances with remarkable resilience. However, as the conflict dragged on, Ukraine began to transition from a purely defensive posture to a more balanced strategy, incorporating both defense and calculated offensives. One of the key moments in this transition was the successful Ukrainian counteroffensive in the Kyiv region in September 2022. This operation saw Ukrainian forces recapture significant territory, pushing Russian forces back and regaining momentum in the conflict. The success of the Kyiv counteroffensive demonstrated Ukraine's growing capability to plan and execute complex military operations, setting the stage for future offensives like the one in Kursk. Another critical development was Ukraine's ability to disrupt Russian supply lines and logistics. Throughout 2023, Ukrainian forces targeted key Russian supply routes, using precision strikes to weaken Russian positions in the Donbas and southern Ukraine. This strategy of targeting logistics and infrastructure, combined with the use of Western-supplied advanced weaponry, has been a cornerstone of Ukraine's approach to undermining Russian military operations. The Kursk offensive can be seen as a continuation of this strategy. By capturing territory within Russia, Ukraine has effectively disrupted Russian supply lines and forced Russia to divert resources away from other critical areas, such as the Donbas and Kherson regions. This not only weakens Russia's ability to sustain its military operations, but also exposes the limitations of Russia's logistical and defensive capabilities. Russia's response. Russia's response to the Ukrainian offensive in Kursk has been marked by confusion and an inability to regain the initiative. Despite having a significant numerical advantage, Russian forces have struggled to contain the Ukrainian advance. This is partly due to the fact that Russia's military is stretched thin, with troops deployed across multiple fronts, from the Donbas to Kherson and now Kursk. One of the key challenges for Russia has been the need to redeploy troops from other critical areas to respond to the Ukrainian advance in Kursk. This has weakened Russian positions in regions like Donetsk and Luhansk, where Ukrainian forces have been able to exploit the gaps left by redeployed Russian units. The situation is further complicated by Russia's reliance on conscripted soldiers, many of whom are poorly trained and lack the experience needed to effectively counter Ukraine's highly motivated and well-coordinated military operations. Another factor contributing to Russia's difficulties is the ongoing logistical challenges it faces. Reports have emerged of Russia relying on substandard North Korean artillery shells to sustain its operations, highlighting the strain on Russia's military-industrial complex. This reliance on foreign and often inferior equipment has hampered Russia's ability to maintain effective offensive operations, further exposing the cracks in its military strategy. Russia's inability to respond effectively to the Kursk offensive has led to significant embarrassment for the Kremlin. The image of a powerful, unstoppable Russian military has been shattered, with the world now seeing a force that is vulnerable, stretched thin, and struggling to maintain control over its own territory. This embarrassment is compounded by the fact that Ukrainian forces have been able to achieve these gains with limited Western support, relying instead on their own ingenuity and determination. The broader implications. The success of the Ukrainian offensive in Kursk has broader implications for the Russia-Ukraine conflict. It signals a shift in the balance of power, with Ukraine increasingly taking the initiative and forcing Russia into a reactive posture. This shift is likely to have significant consequences for the future of the conflict. Firstly, the Kursk offensive demonstrates that Ukraine is capable of conducting operations deep within Russian territory, challenging Russia's ability to defend its borders. This raises the prospect of further Ukrainian advances, potentially targeting other strategic areas within Russia. If Ukraine can sustain this momentum, it could force Russia to divert even more resources away from critical fronts, further weakening its overall military position. Secondly, the offensive has implications for Russia's domestic stability. The sight of Ukrainian forces capturing Russian territory is likely to be deeply unsettling for the Russian public and could lead to increased domestic pressure on the Kremlin. This, combined with the ongoing economic and political challenges facing Russia, could create a volatile situation with the potential for unrest and dissent within the country. Finally, the Kursk offensive has highlighted the limitations of Russia's military strategy and the effectiveness of Ukraine's approach. Ukraine's ability to outmaneuver and outfight Russian forces on their own territory is a testament to the resilience and capability of the Ukrainian military. It also raises questions about the long-term viability of Russia's strategy, particularly if Ukraine continues to receive support from Western allies. The road ahead. As the conflict between Russia and Ukraine continues, the Kursk offensive stands out as a significant turning point. It marks a shift in the dynamics of the conflict, with Ukraine increasingly taking the initiative and exposing the vulnerabilities in Russia's military strategy. While the outcome of the conflict remains uncertain, the events in Kursk have demonstrated that Ukraine is far from defeated and that Russia's position is more precarious than ever. In the coming months, the world will be watching closely to see how this conflict evolves. Will Ukraine be able to sustain its momentum and force Russia into a defensive posture? Or will Russia find a way to regain the initiative and push back against Ukrainian advances? Whatever the outcome, one thing is clear. The conflict in Ukraine is entering a new and potentially decisive phase, with far-reaching implications for the future of both countries and the broader international order. In future videos, we will continue to explore these critical issues and the potential impact of these proposed changes on global governance. If you found this video insightful, please consider liking it and subscribing to our channel. Your support helps us bring you more content that dives deep into the complexities of global politics and economics. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.